I'm taking a little bit of a departure today. I normally post about my books because I'm a writer and author, but I wanted to talk about something else for just a minute. It does tie in because it has to do with books. It has to do with me having been a very curious child and a voracious reader. Books for kids like me, like many children, open worlds. They open new worlds, and some of those worlds hopefully are worlds we've never experienced and that we learn about. And it's so much under attack these days. That's what makes me saddest about it, is this attempt to constrict young minds and to suffocate them and to narrow them in order to raise another generation of people with very limited thinking and experience. And the other day there was an article, this is where I'm going with this, about a teacher. I'm not sure what state it was in. I don't have it in front of me, but I absolutely read it. And she had assigned her AP English class, high schoolers, the book Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I never know if I pronounce his name wrong or right. I don't think he cares. But anyways, she had assigned them to read this book, and it's an advanced class. And it turns out that two of the students turned her in. Two of the students wrote letters complaining, or emails complaining, that the text in this man's book made them uncomfortable and made them feel guilty to be white. So she has not lost her job, but she was reprimanded, and she returned to class recently, understandably fearful, like which one of these white kids staring at her was going to turn her in for saying the wrong thing. What it made me think of was Children of the Damned, but also The Crucible. If you know what The Crucible is, it's a play by Arthur Miller. It has to do with witches and witchcraft, where these girls start accusing other people in their community of being witches. And it doesn't take much to get the message of that. And that's what's happening with a case like this, and probably all across the country. You have all of these specifically white children who are being indoctrinated by their parents, the adults in their lives, to believe that if something makes them uncomfortable, if it's a queer character or a black character or an experience that does not comport with their own, that they can just turn the person in and have them lose their job. And I have to say that's appalling. It's not terrifying. I'm not going to be afraid of kids. And first of all, it has nothing to do with my personal life. But it's appalling. And I want to also say here that the things that I've learned from are things that made me uncomfortable. When I was that age, actually younger, when I was in the 7th grade, I was at a private school, and we were assigned reading every summer. And one of the books that I was assigned was called To Be a Slave. It is still there, available if you go onto Amazon and look it up. It's called To Be a Slave, and it is entirely slave narratives, first-person narratives. And it was horrifying to know what these people, these slaves, went through. This entire, 400 years of black experience in America, and what they went through. And the images were searing. There was an image of a woman, it's a very famous image actually now, where she's got her back to the camera and she has scars on her back that are the size of braids. Like, imagine one of these little white high school girls with a braid down her hair. It was that thick, and it was covered in scars. Her back was covered in scars. So I want to say that's uncomfortable. If you think reading about slavery makes you uncomfortable, white America, imagine being a slave. Imagine being whipped. Imagine having your children taken from you, and your parents taken from you, and the people you love taken from you and sold to another slave owner. That's uncomfortable. So don't talk about how uncomfortable you are as a precious little white child or a precious little white child's mother. You don't know what uncomfortable is. You really have no clue as to what it is like to be uncomfortable. I mean, I could even extend that to being gay. Try being gay in a society where you hear every day from pulpits and right-wing organizations that there's something wrong with you, that you're evil, that you're a groomer. Try living that experience for one day and then tell me how uncomfortable you are as a white person learning about slavery. And finally, this is not about guilt. I have never felt guilty for being white. Nobody should feel guilty for being white. That's just a bullshit excuse to try and erase black history and queer people and everybody else who's not a white, cisgender, specifically Christian American. That's what it's really about. There's nobody feels ashamed for being white. That's just, come on, man, that's ridiculous. Anyways, I'm saying this because it hasn't left my mind what this teacher went through and how she went back to teach again. And she asked another teacher to walk in with her because she was afraid. Can you imagine getting up and standing in front of a classroom of kids, really, teenagers? You're an adult. You've lived a full life. You've been a teacher for years. And now you have some little precious little white kid in there somewhere, maybe two, maybe three of them, and they're going to turn you in. They're going to rat you out for making them uncomfortable because their mother and their father told them that's what it's about, you know. Anyways, it's tragic. Is what it's. We have so much tragedy going on in this country, and I wanted to say something about it. You know, it has nothing to do with feeling guilty because you're white. It has to do with learning that not everybody is you.